If you can answer these English questions correctly, you might be fluent. Hello, I'm Laura.
And I'm Bez.
It's time to test your English.
We've written 20 questions that challenge a variety of different things.
Grammar, idioms, sentence structure.
If you can get at least 15 right, you can be very proud of yourself.
And if you don't get any right, don't worry. Keep going, keep practicing, and come back to this video in 6 months' time and see how much progress you make.
Let's go! What did you do? I just did that and then I got up and I fell. Sorry.
Which sentence is correct? I have been living here since 5 years. I have been living here for 5 years. I have lived here since 5 years ago. I lived here since 5 years. What do you think? What do you think? The answer is B. I have been living here for 5 years. Saying for 5 years indicates a duration of time. For 5 years. A duration of 5 years. Since is used to show the starting point of an action. Since 2016, since 2020, since March. So you can't say I have been living here since 5 years because 5 years is not a starting point. You could say I have been living here since 2021. Let's move on to question number 2.
Choose the correct sentence. She suggested him to take the new job. She suggested that he takes the new job. She suggested to him that he take the new job. She suggested that he take the new job. And the answer is D. Remember this when you're using suggest. Subject plus suggest plus that plus someone plus the base form of the verb. I suggest that you study harder. I suggested that he arrive early.
If someone says, let's play it by ear, what do they mean? A, they want to do something from memory. B, they want to plan every detail. C, they want to decide as they go along. Or D, they want to wait for instructions. The answer is C. They want to decide as they go along. This comes from music. If a musician wants to play a piece of music by ear, it means they don't have the music written down in front of them. They listen to the music and then they play it by listening, by ear. They play it by hearing, not by reading. So if we play something by ear, we don't make a plan, we don't have the instructions in front of us or the music in front of us. We just decide as we go along. Let's not make a plan. Let's just leave the house and then play it by ear. Let's see what we want to do. Let's go with the flow. It's a very similar idiom to go with the flow. Let's just see what happens. Okay, what about this question?
Fill in the blank. I'd rather you come tonight. Didn't, don't, won't, wouldn't. And the answer is A. When we use I'd rather to talk about someone else's actions, we use the past simple verb in this statement. For example, I'd rather you went to the toilet outside. I'd rather you took your shoes off before coming into my house.
Which sentence is grammatically correct? I'm used to wake up early. I used to waking up early. I'm used to waking up early. I used to wake up early. This is something that my students often get wrong. So what do you think? The answer is C. I'm used to waking up early. Now, a lot of the time, my students get confused between I used to and I'm used to. So I used to is used to talk about something that was frequent in your past, something that you did often in the past. So I used to ride my bike every Sunday. I used to hate maths. I used to always play with my brother. However, I am used to is used to talk about things you are familiar with, things that you are very comfortable with. And with this one, the verb has to have ing. So I'm used to waking up early means you are very familiar with waking up early. You do it all the time. It's normal for you. So make sure you say I am or she is or they are used to verb ing. That ing is very, very important. Okay, moving on.
Choose the correct sentence. It's about time we leave. It's about time we left. It's about time we will leave. It's about time for us leaving. The answer is B, because when we say it's about time, it's a polite way of saying that this thing should have already happened. To exaggerate this, we use the past tense verb. It's about time we left means we should have left a long time ago. Okay, moving on.
Which sentence is correct? I look forward to meeting you soon. I look forward to meet you soon. I look forward for meeting you soon. I look forward meet you soon. What do we think? What do we think? The answer is A. I look forward to meeting you soon. Look forward to always goes with a verb ing. I look forward to seeing that film. Ooh, that cake looks delicious. I look forward to eating it. How are you doing so far? Let's try the next one.
Which of these sentences correctly uses the phrasal verb harp on? They harp on really well together. It's lovely to see. I harped on with him for hours. She wouldn't stop harping on about politics. I can't believe she harped us all on like that. What do you think? What do you think? The answer is C, because harp on means to talk on and on and on and on and on and on and on about something. So she wouldn't stop harping on about politics means she wouldn't stop talking about politics, and it really annoyed everyone.
What does throw caution to the wind mean? To be extra cautious, to do something irresponsible, to take a risk, to act against your nature. What do we think? What do we think? It's a tough one. The answer is C, to take a risk. If you throw caution to the wind, you are throwing away caution. So you are not being cautious anymore. You are throwing it away and you're going to take a risk.
What does grapple with mean? To try to understand or deal with something difficult? To have a long, heated argument with someone? To hold on to something tightly? To talk to someone excessively? The answer is A. Grapple with means to try to understand something or deal with something difficult. She grappled with the decision of whether to move to the big city.
Which word best completes this sentence? The meeting was... We didn't get anything resolved. Sufficient, redundant, incessant, nostalgic. What do you think? What do you think? Do, 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 do. The answer is B. The meeting was redundant. Redundant means pointless, useless, doesn't work, unnecessary, and all of the above. So the meeting was redundant, absolutely unnecessary, pointless, useless, nothing happened. You're doing really well. I'm very, very proud of you for getting this far. What about this question?
Which word is most appropriate for this sentence? She is very about her personal life. Hiding, conservative, cautious, secretive. The answer is D. To be secretive means you keep a lot of secrets. So it would make a lot of sense if someone was secretive about their personal life, not giving away a lot of information about it.
Choose the best option. The company's financial situation went from bad to worst, worse, even worse, worst and worst. And the correct answer is B-b-b-bee! It's worse. The correct phrase is from bad to worse. Make sure you learn this phrase. It's a really useful one. So we say something goes from bad to worse. Her mood went from bad to worse. It means it starts bad and then it gets even worse.
Find the correct sentence. He gave me a good advice. He gave me some good advice. He gave me good advices. He gave to me a good advice. Have a think, have a sip of your coffee. The answer is B. Advice is an uncountable noun. We can't have one advice, two advices, three advices. So the correct answer has to be, he gave me some advice. If we want to make advice countable, we can do this by saying a piece of advice. The same goes with information, a piece of information. He gave me a piece of advice. He gave me a piece of information. Moving on.
Which is the most appropriate response to this question? Could you lend me a pen? Yes, you may. Yes, I could. Sure, here you go. Certainly, borrow one. The correct answer is C. Is that the right way for you? Is that a C? I don't know which way that is. C. So it can't be the first one, yes, you may, because I didn't ask, may I borrow a pen? So if someone asks with may, you can respond with may. So, may I ask you a question? Yes, you may. That's fine. But I didn't ask that. I asked, could you lend me a pen? So, why is it not B? Why is the answer not yes, I could? Because that sounds a bit impolite. So if I ask you, could you lend me a pen? And if I respond with, yes, I could, it sounds like, yes, I'm able to, but I'm not going to. It sounds like, yes, I could lend you a pen if I wanted to, but I don't want to. So we don't really say that. If someone asks for you to lend them something, you just say, yeah, there you are. Or there, here you go. Or sure, no problem. You just give it to them. You don't need to respond with the modal verb. You just say, yeah, there you are. Sure, here you go. How about this question?
Which sentence is correct? Despite of the rain, we went out. Even it rained, we went out. Even though it rained, we went out. Although it rained, but we went out. Have a think. What do you think? The answer is C. Even though it rained, we went out. My students often make this mistake. They either say even on its own, or they say despite of. We never say despite of. We do say in spite of with a noun. In spite of the rain, we went out. But despite lives on its own. Despite the rain, we went out.
Which sentence is correct? Under no circumstances you should call her. Under no circumstances should you call her. Under no circumstances you call her. Under no circumstances to call her. This one might be a little tricky if you've never heard under no circumstances, but the answer is B. So this requires inversion. So when we have under no circumstances, that means never, not at all. I don't care what happens. No circumstance, a circumstance is a reality or something happening. I don't care what happens, no circumstances does it allow for you to do this. So when we say under no circumstances, we are saying So afterwards we do an inversion. So we say under no circumstances should you call her. So you swap around you and should. So another example would be under no circumstances should you look inside that room. It's quite formal, it's a very direct instruction, but you might hear it.
Okay, which is correct out of the following options? No sooner have I arrived to the party than it ended. No sooner I had arrived at the party than it ended. No sooner did I arrive at the party than it ended. No sooner had I arrived at the party than it ended. This one's tricky, so I'll give you a couple more seconds to think about it. Okay, the answer is D. When we begin a sentence with no sooner, we are talking about something that happened immediately after something else. We switch the usual subject-verb order to make it sound more formal. No sooner, a verb like had or did plus subject plus the main verb plus than and result. No sooner did she sit down than the phone rang.
If I knew her address, I would have gone to her house yesterday. If I knew her address, I would go to her house yesterday. If I had known her address, I would have gone to her house yesterday. If I had known her address, I would go to her house yesterday. What do we think? What do we think? The correct answer is C. So this is the third conditional, everyone's least favourite conditional. So we use it to talk about alternative realities in the past. So things that might have been different in the past if something was different, if something had changed. So you make the third conditional by putting if with the past perfect. So you have to know the past perfect if you want to make the third conditional. I've made lots of videos about this. I will link them down below. So if and the past perfect, if I had known her address, then you need would or wouldn't and have. So it depends if you're being positive or negative. So would have or wouldn't have, and then the past participle. So if I had known her address, I would have gone to her house yesterday. But that's not what happened. Sorry.
And now, your final question. What does it mean to wing it in a situation? To make an effort? To travel somewhere quickly? To perform without preparation? To try something new? The answer is C. To perform without preparation. I forgot to prepare for the presentation, so I just winged it.
And you're done! Well done! How did you do?
Let us know in the comments below.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like.
If you'd like to get more from Smashing English, such as PDFs and live streams, click the join button.
Head to smashingenglish.com for all our amazing English courses.
And if you'd like to follow us on Instagram, you can do so there.
Thank you so much for watching.
And we'll see you next time.
Ta-ta!